Oh boy, I've been waiting for this one. Boys and girls, this is starting to pop with Don Kincaid and my very, very special guest tonight, one of three. She's going to start us off, and it's going to be a fantastic night. One, suplex, the suplex sweetheart, princess of perseverance, Asana. Thank you so much for coming in tonight. Oh my God.
Thank you for having me. This is really exciting.
Yeah. First off, did I get your monikers right? Because I hate to get those wrong.
The Perseverance Princess, Princess of Perseverance can go either way, but the
Okay.
Suplex Sweetheart's the one that's important, and you got that one right.
Yes. All right. So we're off to a fantastic start then.
We are.
Last night, I'm not going to apologize. Do you know Ref Bill Thompson at all by chance?
I do. I do.
Well, last night he was my last guest, and I had a little moonshine last night. It was a gift that somebody gave me, some apple pie moonshine by one of the great fans at Battlefront, and it's been fermenting on my dresser for a while, about a half a jar. So that's out of my system, and I'm not a drinker. That's out of my system. Today's a new day, and look how beautiful Miss Asana looks. You look gorgeous today, and I thank you so much for your time. This is amazing.
No, thank you. This is I love interacting with people and getting to know people and letting them get to know me. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I noticed behind you. Now, do you know a TJ Howell III by chance?
I have met TJ. I've met him at least once in person. So
Now, he wears the shark socks, and we kind of do the TJ shark do 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 do. And he hates it. We love it, and it's amazing. Is that like a TJ shark behind you? Is that what's going on?
This is a giant stuffed shark that I bought for myself for Valentine's Day.
It
was half price, and I was like, I gotta get it. I just need this shark.
Yeah, it's cute as a button. I was just curious if you named it TJ Howell III. That's all.
It's actually, I think I'm going to do a poll to see what the name of the shark is, because I posted a picture with it, and people are like, what's the name of the shark? I'm like, I don't have a name for the shark yet.
Well, right here on Stirring the Pot, Asana, you're going to put a poll on the face page. If you, Asana is Isana, yeah, and you go to her face page, we, the fans, can vote. I'm going to vote. I already know. You better have TJ Howell III as an option. Pretty please.
I think I will.
Yes! That's going to be fun. I can't wait for that poll to come out. I love those things. See, that's the thing about wrestlers and fans. You put out those little fun things, and we latch onto it because it gives us a little interaction between the men and women and the fans, no matter what age range. They could be 5, they could be 8, they could be all the way up to 90. You never know, because wrestling fans, there's no barrier for age on wrestling, and it's really fun that you do those cute little things. You're a hero or a face in wrestling. Am I correct on saying that?
Yes, pretty much everywhere. I actually started off as a heel, and then I just connected with the fans so well that there was just no way they would hate me. I couldn't get them to hate me. So I was like, well, there we go.
Well, I've never hated one Isana. I will tell you that. I've always cheered you from the very first time I met you or seen you perform. We've only met maybe a couple times on the outside. Never really got a chance. So for the fans, I want to let you know that her area is basically, from what I'm to understand, is Rhode Island. Is that correct? Rhode Island?
Yep, definitely Rhode Island and Eastern Mass.
Okay. And it's a little haul for me, but I have been able to get out for a while back there, and I got to get back. Please don't hold that against me. For the fans, Isana is out in the Rhode Island area, and the Suplex the Suplex Sweetheart is not a moniker for nothing, because she will put you through that, man, with said suplex, and you really put on a good time, a good performance for the fans and yourself. And my long-winded question here is, do you enjoy the interaction that you've gained as being a hero or a face with the fans? Because you said you got a connection. How did that kind of really start to happen?
I think I've always kind of had a connection with the fans. Even so, when I first started, I was a fan. I started at Renegade Wrestling Alliance (RWA) on Rhode Island. I went to a show, and I didn't have much wrestling experience. I'd watched a little bit of it when I was a kid. Didn't really get into it because it was just too over the top for me. I started at the very end of the Attitude Era, and I was like, wow, this is way too ridiculous for me. But then I went to RWA, and I got to see people that were like me, like real people doing superhuman things. And so I was like, well, this is wicked cool. So I started as a fan, and then I became a photographer for years. I was a ringside photographer, and I would interact with the fans and kind of try and be part of the show while not taking away from what was happening in the ring. But like, you know, something cool would happen. I'd turn around to the nearest fan and be like, wow, that was wicked cool. And kind of like try and get them more engaged. Sometimes if it was slow and people weren't clapping for something that needed to clap for it, I'd start the claps and people would be like, oh yeah, we're supposed to. So I kind of knew what the fans were looking for. And then when it was time to wrestle, like when I finally evolved into becoming the actual wrestler, it just kind of came to me that I was like, you know, I love connecting with the people. It's what I do best, especially young girls. Like I have this one young girl that comes to RWA every show, and she'll always come up and run up to me and give me the biggest hug. And it's literally like everything for me.
So. I see the men and women get a lot of fan art done, and you guys will post it on Facebook and such. Do you get some of that cute little fan art? Have you ever gotten some of that?
I have. One of my favorites, actually, Laura Shaw did one for me. She's another regular at the Chop Shop, and she did one for me, and it was beautiful. And I still have it. I have it on my wall. Certain fans will bring me pictures that we've taken together. Like at previous shows, they'll bring me a print for me. I love that. It's so much fun. Coach C, who I think you had on not that long ago, he does.
Coach C.
Yeah, we have his artwork all across the Chop Shop. That's entirely filled. Like all the walls has all the different wrestlers that come through the Chop Shop, and I think that's just the coolest thing. Like, I love it.
It gotta hit you right here every single time, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
We are here to learn about Isana, but you mentioned Coach C, so you opened the door for me. So Coach C, we don't really know anything about because he's way up there in Rhode Island. I think you've been around a little bit longer, so I know a tad more of Isana. Can you give us a little Coach C? He's like 15.
Yeah.
Give us how your relationship is with Coach C in wrestling. He seems like a little mouthy kid, but he gets his message across. Give us a little Coach C talk, if you could.
So Coach C, I've known him since he was strictly just a fan. And then 1 year RWA did a fan draft match, which was the fans were given a pool, and then two people basically became the captains, two of our super fans, and Coach C was one of them. And so he got to draft, like it was just like in gym class, you know, I pick you, the other guy picks you. And I'm trying to remember, I think I was in that match. I forgot if I was with him or under Corey, but that was kind of his precipitous to becoming more involved because he found he loved it. And then one day at Wrestle Party, they had a gimmick. Riot Kellen Thomas was doing a thing there where he was Coach K, and he was, you know, Channing Thomas was his like, you know, student, and they were a team. And then Kellen couldn't make it one day, so they ended up bringing in Coach C, as his backup, and that's kind of where it took off. And he's just run with it, and he's really good at, especially like interacting with people and social media presence. Like, there has been some bumps in the road. I definitely would love to see him start training some as a manager because he did want to do managing stuff. And he does do some managing stuff at the Chop Shop. I would love to see him come into like a training class and really practice it and hone his skill. But for the most part, he's just been killing it, and I'm proud of him.
That young man seems like he could be a star in wrestling because he just has that, like you were saying, there's a presence about Coach C, and I think he could do very well if he pursues it, you know, further, you know, a little harder and such. But I mean, hey, he's a kid. He's still
got some years to go. So
absolutely. So I mean, it's tough I can't even imagine the immense challenge it is to try to balance school. And I know he says he's an honor student, which is just amazing. I could never say I was an honor student. I mean, shit, come on. Are you kidding me? So
I failed my way through high school, so.
I mean, that's really cool that he balances both and keeps honored grades and stuff. So the kid's he's a lot of fun, man, I got to say. But we speak of the chop shop because I've been able to talk to some of the guys in group. Well, actually, you know what? You were my very first female on the Skype.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I've been talking to some of the Rhode Island guys up there. Now I get to talk to one of the Rhode Island females. And this is actually a pleasure for me because I've seen you perform quite a few times. And the very first time was at the XWA Center. Holy shit, what a great time it is up there. The whole vibe, the whole setup. They got that cool big entrance, and it's only improved since I've not been able to get there. Could you talk to us about the XWA and Isana?
So actually, I have a lot of links to the XWA. It was the second place I trained at. When I first started training, I was training with JT Dunn at the Chop Shop. And then when we lost to the first Chop Shop, I'm sure you know there's two iterations. There's the one that you've been to, and then there's the former one that was in Providence. And then we were training the Providence one. Then we lost the Chop Shop. JT stopped training. And I floated around for a little bit, didn't really know what to do with myself. And I was like, I need to train. I need more. So I ended up at XWA with Mike Bennett and Matt Taven and Vinny Marseglia and DK Orion. And I trained there. I haven't been in a little while, and I feel really guilty about that. But my schedule can't really make it on the days that they run. I'm trying to work on rectifying that. But and then because I was training there and was there every week, I started doing the regular Thursday night throwdowns. I did that for, I want to say 4 to 6 months. And I had a recurring program with the Sea Stars where we would just go back and forth, and they would just try and outfox me at every turn. I got to wrestle an amazing match that actually the anniversary of it was, I think, either today or yesterday, which was me and Ace Romero versus Jocelyn and Josh Briggs. And I got a German Josh Briggs, which was really cool. That's my claim to fame. I threw Josh Briggs a German. But it's a really, really fun place. The setup is great. Mike runs a tight ship for the most part. The last time I went there, I could tell that Taven hadn't been around because the locker room definitely had to be cleaned. But for the most part, he runs a tight ship. And I honestly kind of miss it. But the problem was they just couldn't get a lot of women to come down to work with me. And Mike is not a fan of intergender matches, so he won't book them. So I was like, well, I was just showing up every Thursday and just kind of hanging out in the locker room just in case someone would show up. And eventually I was like, I have better things to do with my Thursdays. I should be in the gym. I can do this, that, and the other thing rather than showing up here right after work to hang out. And I do really miss it. And if, I've told Mike and I've told Jose as well, if you know that there's a woman coming down on a Thursday and you need someone to work her, let me know and I'll be there in a heartbeat.
I would love to see because Dave Rodriguez, if I'm not mistaken, picture Dave. He took the pictures. I would love, because that's the only way I can pretty much. I mean, there's the network and stuff. I mean, I've caught some of the network, but picture Dave is a good way. Look him up, Dave Rodriguez. He's a photographer on the scene. He does quite a many promotions. But I kind of live through his eyes when it comes to the XWA Center. And I would love to start seeing Isana back in that mix up there. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, no, I did get to do one show not too long ago, the War Games show where they had the cage set up. And that was pretty fun. I got to throw a bunch of people around and give Squire a booby trap. So
yes,
little Squire. Yes. It was so much fun.
Poor. Did you use these two words? Poor Squire.
Yes, poor Squire.
But
to be fair, he won the match because of that booby trap, because he fell out of the ring, which is the point. So, I mean,
I used to say poor Squire when I very first seen King Leon the Sixth back then, on his coming ins. And, I used to say poor Squire, but in all honesty, he's just in cahoots with that freaking King Leon as much as anybody. He's his right hand man. He does all of his dirty bit. I don't feel sorry for that Squire at all anymore. I am sorry. It's just the way I feel.
No, I get it.
I mean, I know King Leon wipes his feet on him and stuff. No, that's funny. But poor Squire. Okay, I'll meet you halfway, and he probably deserves a bit more respect. The Squire does. I'm telling you, those two guys together are some of the craziest storylines, some of the craziest promos, some of just over the top. Talk about two over the top characters, King Leon and Squire. Don't you dare call him the Squire, because I interviewed them both, and that was a mistake.
Uh-oh.
Don't do that.
I will taking some notes.
Yes. Working with those two, how's that? That's got to be a lot of fun, man.
It absolutely is. Actually, fun fact, King Leon is the reason I'm the suplex sweetheart.
What?
Yeah, I had used it as a hashtag on an Instagram post, and because it was a picture of me suplexing someone, I was like, hashtag suplex sweetheart. And a couple days later, I went to training with Jose Perez, or Jose Garcia, whichever you know him as. And King was there, and we were all just kind of sitting around talking, because I was still trying to find out who I was really in the ring. And he was like, I see you kind of as a Rosie the Riveter type, we can do it type of personality. And I connected with that instantly. I was like, no, you're absolutely right. And he was like, the suplex sweetheart thing, that just makes sense. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to try it. And I ran with it, and it stuck, and it worked. And I was like, perfect, this is it. So they're a lot of fun.
They are, man. I don't know if you heard that, but I had 2 notifications back to back, and I was so excited to connect with you on Skype. I forgot to turn them off. I am so sorry.
No, it's okay.
I am so sorry.
No, it's fine. At least it could be worse. This could be Buff Dad's interview, so.
Oh my God, Buff Dad! I love Buff Dad.
I love Buff Dad.
I love that guy. I mean, he can't wrestle. He can, I guess, but man, what a character that guy. Don't ever tell him he can't wrestle. Don't ever say to Buff that, hey, I heard Kincaid said you can't wrestle. Don't ever tell him that. I love Buff Dad. That guy is a character, and I have talked about characters.
Oh, yeah.
And I just stirring the pot a little while ago. The worst connection I have ever had to deal with in my life. That old timer can't work Skype for shit.
It was still a solid interview. I did watch it, so.
Oh, you did? Oh,
I did.
So much. Oh, that's amazing. So we want to get back to Isana, and I know we jump a little back here and there, but Don Kincaid, he doesn't write nothing down, so we just kind of get what comes flowing in, So, hey, that's why we do the organic kind of raw feel of it, and we pull back the curtain. Now, I would like to know, Isana as a character started as a heel. Was your name Isana still?
Yes, it's always been Isana from the day one.
Okay. Did you wear maybe a different look? Did you speak differently? Were your mannerisms different?
My mannerisms were definitely different. I kind of took a lot of inspiration from the Queen in Sleeping Beauty, the evil queen, or just generally evil queens in Disney in general, because I found that I wasn't able to hate people and talk down to them. That's just not me. But as long as you love me, then we're fine. But if you don't love me, then I can hate you. So I kind of took that and I ran with it. So anyone that was on my side, I could be nice to. But the moment they questioned my motivation or were like, hey, you did that bad thing, I'd turn on them. And that was a lot of fun. And I kind of really missed that. But I have such a connection with the fans that it's impossible to deny.
Is it easier to be a face or a heel?
I think both have their different unique challenges. As a heel, it was definitely hard to take my personality out of it and create a new personality to put in there. Because Liz is a person that just wants to care and, wants to help people. And then, so to try and be evil Isana, that was definitely a challenge. It's a challenge that I kind of want to go back to. I'm starting to think maybe it's time to take back what's mine. But I have a feeling a lot of places are not ready for that yet.
Do you see my little buddy right here?
I do. Trying to read it.
His name is Uric. This is a hand sign. Hamlet Hershey. Do you know who Hamlet Hershey is?
I do know Hamlet. I got to share a locker room with him a couple times.
Well, that's his little buddy Uric. Uric is the stirring the pot champion. If you notice the cool little strap up there.
Is that a Dave Cole original I see up there too?
Look at you! That's a Dave Cole original.
I love Dave Cole.
Yeah! Look at, oh my God. Oh, the belt is crooked. See, when Rep was on there, it was crooked the whole time. I didn't even give a shit. You gotta make stuff look nice when Isana is on. But my point being is, I think Uric popped a little bit when you said you might have to go back to your dark roots.
I might. It definitely should. Because, I mean, as much fun as being a face is and interacting with the fans in a positive way, and I definitely love being a good role model. I think now with the amount of experience I've developed, like one story that I really, really want to tell in the ring, and I haven't had the chance to do that, is the story of the evil intergender match where the woman is the bad guy, where you finally end up cheering the guy when he punches her in the face. And that's a story that's really, really hard to tell, but it's a challenge that I'm desperately eager to try.
So that seems like a challenge because how long have you been a face or a hero?
I've been pretty much for the past 3 years. I'd say I've been a face. My first year, I was strictly RWA. And then I started branching out. I did House of Bricks a little bit, and I was a heel there too. And then the fans kind of changed, and I changed with them, and we kind of started that transition. And then I started going to more places, and they needed a baby face, and I was like, all right, I'll try it. And then it just worked.
So after 3 years of being now Isana likes, like you were saying, you like to hug the little young women there, and the other fans, give them the old high five and all of that cool stuff. What's gonna happen when you go to the dark side? What's gonna happen?
I have a feeling some tears will happen. That's probably gonna happen. I don't know if people are gonna love me more or hate me more, honestly, because depending on, some people do love to hate the bad guy. I know I was one of them, so.
Well, I have spoken about that in modern day wrestling. You can be one of the nastiest guys, and I can't use like a Stone Cold because that's a whole different story, but you can be one of the nastiest guys and just even piss all over the fans no matter what, and they cheer for you. It's just the way heels work sometimes. So all depending on how your character is built, what it represents, and such, and how you carry yourself in being invested in that character, because if you're not invested, we can tell, so yeah. All depending on how you take your character. I got little goosey bumps going on here because I want to see, we talk about evolution of character. This is perfect, a perfect spot. The evolution of a character. Do you see this shit right now, fans? We are getting that little inside scoop. We don't know when, though. We don't know how. We don't know what it's going to look like. But we got just a little exclusive right there. We're going to see a dark side of one suplex sweetheart. Wow. I'm blown away. I don't even know what to say.
It's definitely something that, everyone changes and evolves, and sometimes you need to go through multiple evolutions in order to find that sweet spot. So I think it might be time to try, a different tack.
Yeah, well,
but maybe not yet.
If you look at Jericho's presence over time, he doesn't have to change a whole lot. He just uses this a lot and then does a little bit here,
Yeah,
he's a very smart person in that aspect where he adds a little hashtag or a little moniker, Le Champion. Are you kidding me? Who the hell's ever been called Le Champion? But it works, you know?
It works. Everything
Yeah.
that man comes up with pretty much works. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah. So, you take your fans on a fun ride, I gotta say, because I talk about the interaction between the fans and the wrestlers. When you're down and out, the fans are right there behind you. And when you're on your comeback or, coming up and getting your head of steam, the fans are even more behind you. That seems pretty instantaneous to me that I saw, because the first time I saw you, you were like, and I go with my dad to all of the shows, and I'm looking around, I go, who is this girl? I've never seen her before. And my dad's like, I don't know, but these guys are loving her. I go, no shit. Let's see what's good on the face page and the social media. And that's how I kind of, got in touch with Isana, and I started stalking. I mean, I started following her ever since. So yeah, I mean, it's been a really fun time since I've known you. So I'd like to talk about, you mentioned the RWA a few times. Is that Isana's home base promotion? Because there's so many around your area. Is that your home base right there?
I would absolutely call RWA my home. I kind of have two homes in a way, because I have RWA, which is my birthplace. It's my home. I also NCW that usually runs out of Dedham, Mass. That's like my second home. There was a time that I had like a spat with the owner of RWA. I left for a full year. And I went off and I just did my own thing, and NCW kind of took me in with open arms, and so that's my second home.
Now, we use the three-letter, the abbreviation for these. Could you tell the fans what those two organizations are called?
So RWA is Renegade Wrestling Alliance, and then NCW is the Northeast Championship Wrestling. So
nice. I've seen Isana with some gold over her shoulder. Way more than one time. Could you take the fans to maybe a little ride of your accolades of championships? Because I've seen a couple, and I would like to know which ones you've held, because I don't know all of that.
Oh, definitely. Right now, I'm technically a triple champion. Yeah, I know, mind blowing. I still don't know. I still can't process it. I'm the Legacy Women House of Bricks Women's Champion. I call that a Legacy belt because the House of Bricks no longer runs. But I was their last Women's Champion.
So you get to keep the belt though?
I did not keep the belt. I gave it to the promoter. It's hanging up on his wall as a memory for all the good times. I'm also currently the Women's Champion at Outlaw Championship Wrestling. They run out of Newton, Mass. That's pretty recent. And then I just won the Hype Championship, which is my first non-gendered championship at RWA.
Wait, so anybody men or women can vouch for this belt?
Yep, and I just won it.
Wow, so you don't mind the whole intergender thing, right?
Oh, I love it. I honestly prefer having intergender matches over strictly women's matches. I love telling that story.
Wow. Because you come in with some steam. You've got those forearms and stuff like that. I mean, you come in with some steam, so I could definitely see Isana mixing it up regularly with the guy, because, hey, man, like you said, maybe sometimes there's a lack of the women in that specific scene. Do you ever reach out to any of some of your contacts or peers that you've networked over your time? Is there anybody that you reach out and be like, you know what, man, I could really use a couple ladies out here. Why don't you guys come out this way and check out a couple shows and let's work a little bit?
I mean, absolutely. For a while, the Sea Stars were kind of my go-to, and then they took off, and now they're too busy. Oh yeah, they've gone right. I'm so proud of them. So proud of them. And now there's a new crop of girls that are coming up. You might have heard of them. Little Mean Kathleen, Basic Becca, Paris Van Dale. And so they're kind of coming up in the world. So they're kind of the ones, like, because I have different also Sierra, when she comes back to wrestling, is another one, because we trained together at XWA.
Was she injured?
Yes, she's the one that had the back injury.
Yes.
The gruesome back injury.
Yeah,
yeah, that one was scary. And that was a reminder to all of us of just how bad, you can get hurt doing this. So kids, don't
How,
try this at home.
how easy and how quickly you can get hurt.
Yeah, it's all it takes is a split second. But that's the group of girls. Like sometimes I'll have promoters be like, "Hey, I need someone. Are you available?" And I'll be like, "I'm not available, but so and so. Let me give you the names of these people." I'm definitely looking forward to working with Kathleen and Becca and Paris and all of them a whole lot more. Um, Also, Sarah Teller is one that's brand spanking new, so I'm looking forward to interacting with her more too. So
You said you hold 3 current championships right now. Are they at your house? Can we see maybe 1, 2, or 3?
they're in the car. They're in the car. So I know. I can send some pictures.
Hey, that'd be fine. If you go to the face page and stuff, hey, could you, I usually end with this, but since we're talking, the media pictures and stuff, that's all it takes is a little bit of media presence, and it really helps a lot with the wrestlers to push their brand and get us, the fans, involved with them just a little bit more, sometimes a lot more. And we get to have a lot of fun with you guys and girls on the social media. Could you give us where to find Isana?
All right, so the easiest place to find me is Instagram. I've been doing really good at posting every day too. And I love it when people interact with me on Instagram. That's Isana_baby. So at Isana_baby. And then it's just Isana baby for Twitter, which I'm desperately trying to use better. No underscore there, but I was posting today all about bread, so you can go see me post about bread, I guess. And the lack of the edit button, which is why it's my least favorite platform. And then my Facebook is /Isana Allron, which was a last name that I was toying with. And Isana, there was no just /Isana, so I was like, well, I'll throw the Allron on there. And that's where to find me. And I try and post at least something every day on there too, to either a picture or a question. I love it when I get comments on stuff. That like makes my day. It's a little dopamine hit. I'm like, oh, they like me. They really like me.
So, and again, I hate to repeat myself, but I appreciate your time, because right now the world is topsy-turvy.
It is.
And you taking the time to do this is amazing. What is Isana doing to keep herself a little busy?
Well, I'm working a lot, working out a lot, playing The Sims. Just trying to keep busy, getting my social media up and interacting with people, responding to a lot more messages. Sometimes it used to take me a couple days to respond to messages. Now it's usually instantaneous. So I've been really trying to keep my social media presence up, and then I've been doing a lot of scrolling on Facebook, kind of, watching different things. Like people, because I have so many wrestlers on Facebook, usually all I have to do is just one scroll and I'll be like, oh, there's a match to watch. So that's been a real good way of passing the time.
Because of the Chop Shop, there's so many, the Chop Shop, if you don't know, it's out in Pawtucket. Crazy little environment to get to it. First time
terrifying looking, yeah.
I was flipped out a little bit. I thought my nephew got kidnapped for a second there. So at nighttime, it was a little spooky. If you go there for your very first time, if you don't know where you're going. But anyways, you get in there. It's a nice, intimate environment. Probably, I don't know, 50, 60 chairs or so, somewhere around there. I don't know.
Yeah.
And there's 5, 6 promotions that all run through there. But not only that, not just the promotions. Imagine how many men and women it takes to get all of those promotions rolling around. There are so many characters in that Chop Shop. Now, I don't have my phone on me right now in my hand because I'm talking to one Isana, but guess who's next tonight? Just take a wild guess.
Take a wild guess. I think I know this one. Wait, I know this one. I'm getting a message, a telepathic message. It's Insane Dick Lane.
It is Insane Dick Lane. It's the meta-human Insane Dick Lane. I am not ready for this guy.
No one's ever ready for this guy.
please give the fans a little bit of Dick Lane because he's coming on next, so we might need a little prep.
Insane Dick Lane is probably one of my favorite humans in the world. We started training together with JT, and I still remember coming up to him and being like, "Your accent's really cool. Where are you from?" And he just goes, "Norwood." And I was like, "Well, okay, now I look like an asshole." But he's so inspired. He is brilliant. He just comes up with stuff like that. We actually, when I first started, I was in a tag team with him. When I first debuted, I debuted with my brother Tom and him as my partners, and we were the Unholy Trinity for a little while. The Epidemic version 4 or 5. So, I absolutely love Insane. You're gonna have a blast with him. You are gonna have an absolute blast. Just give him one thing and let him go. And I actually have my my Insane Dick Lane pin right here.
So yes.
So
I have about that much moonshine left in my mason jar. Maybe I should get it.
I agree.
Ooh, man, I don't know if I can do that 2 nights in a row. I'm not a drinker, man. My boss kicked my ass if I don't go to work tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we're part of the essential thing. It's a food thing. So I mean, I'm out there dodging it, trying to do my best out there. You know, we're all trying to do our thing out there. You know.
Exactly.
So yeah, Insane Dick Lane, the characters, Middlesex Express and King Leon and such. I mean, they just don't stop at the chop shop. That environment has got to be, I'm just going to say, effing crazy in the back, behind the curtain. That place has just got to be like, just insane, like a party all the time, man.
Oh, I mean, it definitely feels like that sometimes. I mean, we're all a big old family there. Which I know everyone says we're a big old family, but like literally we're all going to each other's houses, obviously not right now, but and I mean, it's kind of killing me to not see, like I'm so used to seeing the same people. I'm so used to seeing, you know, Mike Montero and all the Fall River Kids and Middlesex Express and, you know, and T Phoenix and Tom and Sean Leader, and all these people almost every week pretty much at this point, or at least every other. And so it's definitely been weird not seeing them, but it's such a good environment and such a wholesome place. Like obviously, like any family, we have our spats, and I've seen some nasty stuff go down, but in the end, we all just love each other, and it's wonderful.
You know, now that you mentioned that, that opens yet another door because I got nothing written down. Now, say, you know, little brotherly or sisterly little spat is popping. Do you guys ever say, because now you've got my curiosity, do you guys ever say, you want to know what? Let's get in that ring and take care of some business. Does that ever happen?
It does happen from time to time.
Okay.
I mean, anything ranging from your standard receipt, which is, you know, just one stiff one that will take you off your feet, just for being a punk or something. To like, for instance, one point I actually ended up having some ribs broken because someone didn't like me. So yeah, it can get pretty nasty sometimes, but we're all tough fighters in the end too. Like, you know, maybe we're not MMA anymore, but we're still tough. We still take, you know, any one of the guys at the chop shop. They all hit me. They don't hold back when they hit me. They knock me almost out every time.
Do you prefer, like you were talking, I'd rather fight the men at times than the women. Do you prefer when they're coming at you and letting you know, here I am, this is a good close on, here it comes, you better take it, you know, kind of thing, and you better be ready for it, rather?
Absolutely. I am down to take the hardest hits. I will volunteer for stuff sometimes if I need to. Like if I'm in a multi-person match, I'll be like, hey, yeah, no one else wants to do that? Well, I guess I will, because I know that I'm durable, so I know that it's going to hurt, but I'm going to recover, whereas someone that's more fragile than me, they might actually get seriously, seriously hurt. So I'm like, you know what? Just hit me. I got it all day. Because I still have yet to actually get knocked out in the ring. I've come close, but I have yet to actually get knocked out in the ring. I've definitely put myself on my ass. I ran headfirst into a clothesline from Shay one time, and he almost took my head off. And I just remember going like, I just remember sinking to my knees, going, "This isn't supposed to happen."
That's a big boy to be taking a clothesline from. Holy cow!
Oh yeah, well he's the one I won the belt from, so.
Now, could you take us through that, because that's where I wanted to go, because that's your most recent current championship that you're the Hype Championship. Now, the storyline, because I didn't get to see it, but the storyline of this Hype Championship match, was it a multi-person or was it one-on-one? Could you take us a ride through that match? And when you get that 1, 2, 3, take us through that moment, please, because we love that kind of stuff.
So that was a feud that Shay and I had. Shay and I have wonderful chemistry in the ring. Like, we just love beating the piss out of each other. And
Now
so
that-
that was.
Now that's Shay Cash from the Heavy
Shay
Hitters. I
Cash.
just want everybody to. Okay.
Exactly. Yep. Shay Cash from the Heavy Hitters. So he's a big boy. So I can just wail on him, and I can put every ounce of effort into my strikes, and he's just gonna take it. And so it's really, really fun to work with him. But so we had this feud going for a while. He had humiliated me. He kept cunt punting me. Yeah, that was his thing. He would just keep kicking me square in the hoo-ha and dropping me. So finally we had it was actually this was all on the fly. We had a match that went to the time limit draw. So 10 minutes, 10-minute time limit draw, and the moment was perfect, absolutely perfect. Like, I got my arm over him 1, 2 times up, and after a superplex that almost killed both of us. So it was a huge, huge reaction. So right then and there, they were like, I wasn't supposed to wrestle him again for a while. We were supposed to let the feud to simmer for a while. But they were like, "No, we can't do this. You're facing him next show." And I was like, "Okay, we're doing this." And then the next match, it was all I needed was a few more minutes. And literally 3 minutes into the match, he goes to give me a suplex, which never works very well for anyone. And I struggled out of it and rolled him up real quick, 1, 2, 3, and the place literally exploded. I know Mike Montero had mentioned it to you, and that he heard it in the back, and he was like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" And the moment, like, I was almost in tears. It was an absolutely incredible moment. And then that young girl that I mentioned earlier, I went immediately to her because I was like, this young girl has been cheering me on. Like, she absolutely adores me. I want to share this moment with someone special. I'm going to share it with her. So I ran over, I grabbed her, and obviously I checked with the parents first, picked her up, put her on my shoulder, and I had the belt in one hand, I had her in the other, and we're posing in front of the hard cam, and it was such a moment.
I would love, and we would love to see that picture. Would be amazing. I love that stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I have to see if I can get a still from the video, because It was absolutely wonderful.
Because in my area at PAPW, Texas Strength Wrestling, there's this guy who's come with his little son, and if his boy is probably 2 years old, I guess, I don't know, I'm just guessing, but I don't call them by name. I've only heard their real names once, and it's almost like I keep the gimmick alive because we always call them Sign Guy and Sign Kid, and they make some of the cutest little signs you've ever seen for the ring announcers, for the Zebras of Justice, for their favorite wrestlers, for their most hated wrestlers. I mean, these signs are always amazing, creative, and so much fun. Ugh. And that little boy and his dad, I love seeing them, and I make sure that because I video most of my stuff, I never really take pictures. I make sure that I turn to their way and get a good, as the video is rolling, a good standstill so I can take from later, because I adore that stuff. It's so much fun to see the little ones going and doing that,
It's so much fun. They like, especially, like I love doing it for the kids because they're the purest, and they're just there for fun and they're having a blast. They're not smart to it yet. They're just having fun. And I especially young girls, I want to be a role model for them. I want to show them that it's okay to be strong. It's cool to be strong. It's cool to be tough, and it's something to aspire to be a hero. Um, so that is one of the few reasons that it's tough for me to want to be a heel, because then I'm gonna have to undo all that hard work. But you know what? Sometimes I gotta teach them that you gotta do things for yourself too.
Okay, well, I am looking very forward to that ride that you're going to take us on. And you have to follow us on and go to her stuff and check it out, because if you don't, how you going to find out? So we all have to take that ride with Isana. You got to go check it out, man. I almost cannot wait, but I don't know. I love Isana. I don't want to have to boo you. That's going to really hurt a little bit. So we'll have to see what happens.
Well, you don't have to boo me. You can just love me. It's fine.
Man, I don't know, man. Because, guys like Dan the Man and stuff, stand up and cheer for me. I don't think so. So if it's on the dark side, I try to kind of keep the booze over on the dark side. I push the booze over there. I pick them up, because when I'm at wrestling, it's the oddest thing. I find piles of booze just laying around at ringside, and I pick them up and I utilize them, only for the dark side, though.
At least they're being used. I mean, that's what's important.
Because we don't like wasted booze when it comes to wrestling. I will tell you that.
Absolutely not. We don't like wasted booze, and we don't like wasted booze.
No. Woo, look at Isana go. Holy cow. Man, you are a gem. This has been so much fun. Now, is there anything that, I don't know, I haven't maybe, I don't know, there's so many characters in the Chop Shop. I have too many names in this scrambled mess I got up here. I would like to, because I like to associate the person I'm talking to with some of their peers that they enjoy to work with and such. So instead of calling off random names, who does Isana, is that correct?
Isana, yep.
I don't want to say Asana. It sounds like it should be an A there. Who are some of your favorites to work with out in your area?
That's a tough question because there's so many. I mean, Shay Cash is definitely one of them. I have a blast beating him up. I absolutely adore working with Riot Kellen Thomas. I've got to have a couple matches against him, and we had a blast. Actually, one of my favorite, I did promise you I would tell you the story of my black cat. So I'm going to tell you the story of my black cat because that links to it, because my first match as the black cat, so the black cat is my wrestle party gimmick. It's a black lucha masked black cat. And the whole concept behind it is that I'm a cat that can only do what you've seen in viral cat videos. So I can pounce, I can swat, I can, jump from high distances, I can trip you, but it's all inspired by viral. I wish I could throw a decent drop kick. My drop kicks are terrible, but that would be great because I'm sure you've probably seen the video of the cat drop kicking the toddler running down that little path.
A million.
Oh, it's so good. So that was the concept. So the first match I had was against Kellen at Wrestle Party as Coach K. So it's Coach K versus a black cat, and the cutoff, he gets a box out from underneath the ring, and he puts it in the middle of the ring, and I'm off somewhere doing something, probably smelling someone, and so I'm like, oh, a box, oh my god. So I run up to the box and I look at everyone. I put one foot in the box. I look at everyone again. Put the other foot in the box. Look at everyone a third time. Go to jump, sit in the box. He comes in, kicks me, cuts me off. It was so much fun. I lost to Buff Dad and 2 Buff. Actually, I might have won that one. I did lose to them as the Black Cat. They distracted me with catnip. I once I got treed on the top rope. That was really fun. I had to have an entire army of shirtless firefighters come rescue me by jumping on them. Wrestle Party is a really, really fun place to wrestle.
You've described 3 matches, and it just sounds like the most amazing shit I've ever heard.
Oh my god, it's so much fun. Wrestle Party, and now my cat costume unfortunately met a bitter end. The mask is still in existence, but I need a new suit. My furry belly is no longer furry. So, I've recently been doing a tag team thing with Stephen Lust from the Middlesex Express, where we're just basically washed up porn stars that haven't stopped filming. And so we just try and basically seduce our opponents, and then when that doesn't work, we beat them up. So we have so much fun there. Absolutely so much fun.
The characters that I've seen through footage at Wrestle Party, because I kick myself in the ass for not being at least attending 1 or 2 of those, because I love Sully Banger. I was part of that whole little Sully section going on with those characters when they were bringing it up, and they allowed me because they didn't need to let that old man all jump in their shit, and they were like, wait, you're cheering for Sully? And I'm like, oh, he's a regular guy, I dig it. And we kind of all bonded and did the Sully section thing, and I love those kids, man. I still try to talk to them once.
You're breaking up a little bit, dear. Yeah. I can still hear you.
I think we can push through this.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're back. You're back. There we go.
But Wrestle Party started as live prov, and
I still call it live prov all the time.
I still do. I have one of the original shirts, and I got the little care package that came if you signed up and did the pre-order thing, and I wanted that so bad because I was going to be a fan from day one and go to all of the shows, but those drives just kick my ass as a fan. You know, I have to get up to that Wrestle Party. It just
you definitely have to get up at least once.
And there's a live band that jams out there. How do you like that?
It's so much fun. Especially they'll start interacting with during the matches. They'll interact. The drummer will start beating on the drum for every strike you hit or something like that. Even just coming out to live music is really, really cool. You never know what they're gonna play. You just know that, there's a name on a card and then there's your name, and so you're coming out second. So whatever they play, you just kind of wait for the beat to hopefully drop, and then you just go out there and have a blast. It's just so much fun. It's a very intimate atmosphere too. It's a small building. It's standing room only. It's a lot of like hipster. Well, there are some chairs, but not many. It's a lot of hipsters, and there's a lot of beer flowing, and everyone's excited, and the crowd just eats it because they're not smart to wrestling. They still believe, or they're willing to let themselves believe, and they're just there for fun. And the crowd is probably one of the best crowds I've ever experienced in my life.
It does. I've seen most footage from most of the events, and man, that stuff outside over at Ogie's or something like that.
Oh yeah, that was a really fun show.
Dude, those things are crazy. Talk about how many people all try to surround the ring, man. You guys were really bringing them in at that outdoor stuff.
Oh yeah. We do a lot. We do. They'll do some of the Providence. Providence has like a week-long celebration of Providence, and they'll do like block parties and stuff. And so we did one year. I wrestled Antonio Tunasso as the cat. So it's the fish versus the cat. It was so hot. It was so hot in that. But it was so much fun because we're outside in the middle of the street with the ring set up right outside the black box where we usually wrestle. And it was just, just hundreds of people all around. It was so, so cool. So
those events, they look like tons of fun. And if you're in that area, and I'm talking, and it's not just for the Wrestle Party, but the Rhode Island area wrestling is I use the word gimmicky because I don't really know how else to put it, but there's more characters, I guess I'll say, a little more over the top, larger than life characters, if you will, that are out in the Rhode Island area. It's a little different than here. Not that there isn't those characters and such, but out there it's just a little more abundance of them. And man, you guys utilize them to like you're talking all of the tree and the catnip and those little things. Those little things in wrestling make everything worthwhile for that one performance in that ring. And you guys and girls are so creative in coming up with that. Now you're talking the now that vision I am gonna hold for a long time. Buff ink, if you will, distracting you with catnip.
Yep.
Who comes up with like these little things? Is it you? Is it them? Is it everybody together as a team? How do you come up with these little cool things?
I mean, everyone together as a team pretty much, but I mean, especially for like Wrestle Party stuff, Sully will sometimes interject thing like for the Black Cat, he just came to me, he was like, think of something ridiculous that you would do. And I was like, I would be a cat. And he was like, okay, you're a cat. Make it happen. I was like, all right. And so then we can just play with it and you'd be like, how have we not distracted the cat this time? What's the next thing we can do that cats do? Like, you want a feather on a string, you want catnip, you want a laser pointer. These things just start coming at you. I went to a Quackenbush seminar. I don't know if you're familiar with Mike Quackenbush from Chikara. Brilliant man. But one of the things he always said was the narrower I'm paraphrasing here, the narrower your parameters, the more creative you can be. So he gave the idea of like a claustrophobic vampire. When you say claustrophobic vampire, what comes to mind? And I was instantly like, he's terrified to be in his coffin. So all these different things just start popping up when you start to like really hone in on like, why would I do this? What would I do? And that's one of the reasons that we're so creative in Rhode Island is we really focus on like different ways of taking what we do and being like, why would I do this? Would I do this? Maybe I wouldn't do this. Maybe I had to find something else to do. But in the end, it pays off so much.
And you don't have to do like
I lost you again.
In your creative process. You don't have to throw it all in. You throw one in, you throw two in, maybe at most or what have you. And they work very specifically for a specific reason. And like you said, if as long you try to make it work. But that's the experience I think right now with Isana is less is better, as they say, right?
Yeah, I mean, I basically try and like when I come up with my ideas and stuff, I'm like, how can I get to this suplex? Because I know I'm gonna hit a suplex at some point. It makes it very easy when I'm meeting someone new for the first time and we're gonna work together. Like, hey, what do you do? I'm like, well, I do suplexes.
Now, before I do let you go, because I know we all got stuff to do, and I got a loony bin.
You've got a lot of people today.
I gotta prep for this. I gotta meditate for just a little bit before that whole thing. What I like to do though is try to gauge as a wrestler, an active wrestler. Do you still watch? Because we're all fans. Do you still watch current product? WWE, ROH, Impact, New Japan, and such. Are you watching that stuff now?
To an extent, yes, but not much. I've never been really big on TV wrestling.
Okay.
Although NXT is my guilty pleasure. I love NXT, and I do still watch NXT fairly regularly. I'll usually, whenever I'm at the gym doing cardio, I miss doing cardio at the gym. I never thought I'd say that. But when I'm at the gym doing cardio, I'll usually throw on a couple NXT matches to get me through it. And I absolutely do love the creativity of NXT. I don't really, because I don't have cable right now, so I don't have access really to WWE, like the Raw and the SmackDown product right now. Whereas I do have the network, so I still get NXT. But I try and keep up with the dirt sheets to an extent too, like just seeing, what's happening in different promotions. I watch some AEW. The bar I used to go to every Sunday would have ROH on, so I'd be like, hey, look, there's my trainer. That was always pretty cool, and I would be like, hey, look, there's Taven. But I definitely, whenever there's wrestling put in front of me, I will watch it. But I'm definitely not as up on the current product as I probably should be. But at the same time, I don't really have aspirations for being a TV wrestler. So, I mean, I want to go as far as I can with it. But for me, the intimacy is more fun. I really like an intimate crowd.
And that's where I am, and that's where I kind of, once I started going to one, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of dig this a bit more than the distance from the big stage in the ring down there at the WWE shows and stuff. One that I didn't mention was NWA, and they got that cool little studio thing going on.
Yeah.
And the tube. And if I'm not mistaken, because I would like to get this yet one more question before I let you go. They have that old school vibe going on. And when I mean old school, and I use the same names, but that's who comes to mind, is the Dusty Rhodes and the Ric Flairs and the Harley Races and stuff like that. And that's on the YouTube, so that's pretty accessible nowadays. Have you checked NWA out, first off? And I would think that's more of your cup of tea, because tell me if I'm not wrong, but you have that more old school mat stuff going on where you're full steam ahead and you do your thing. You're kind of more into that. So have you watched the NWA, and is that your kind of old school stuff is your forte of wrestling?
I haven't watched much NWA yet. I probably will be soon because it is on YouTube and I have access to it. And now I have time. So it's definitely it's on my to-do list is to watch a lot of it. But I've seen clips and here and there, and it definitely feels very much like something that calls to me. And I got to do a seminar with Dave Lagana, who is one of the people that helps run NWA. And he's a brilliant, brilliant man. So I know it's in good hands, and that everyone there is doing good stuff. So it's definitely something that I have a lot of interest in. Definitely want to be watching more of, and I definitely love that. For me, like I'm not going to be one of those people that does flips, and I don't leave my feet much. I don't like to leave my feet much. Probably the biggest thing you're going to get out of me is a crossbody from the top, and that's going to happen a handful of times maybe. But I much prefer, I love mat wrestling. I absolutely adore, chain wrestling, grappling, stuff like that. And that's something that's actually kind of hard to come by these days. A lot of people are kind of scared to do that. And I'm like, well, we're wrestlers, so let's wrestle. We're not acrobats, we're wrestlers. So, I mean, as much fun as the flippy stuff is to watch, and it truly is really fun to watch, it's just not what I do. I am bottom heavy. I don't jump very well, but I can pick you up and I can throw you, and that's the cool stuff.
Man, I love the old school because, one SOG, Ronnie Ribbs, he was also on last night before Refville, and that's when I broke open the moonshine.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I haven't drinking that stuff in probably, I don't know, it's been like an easy 6 months or better. It's just been fermenting. And Ronnie Ribbs comes on, and I pop the top. What the hell's going on? But he asked me who I thought were the 3 greatest wrestlers of all time. My childhood memories of when I went to my very first live show come to mind. So I gave him 3 old school wrestlers: Bob Backlund, Ivan Putski, and Don Morocco. And yeah. And that's my kind of forte, too, because that's what I grew up on, was that WCCW with the Von Erichs and such coming up, and the AWA, and that's my thing. So when NWA actually came back and almost looked identical to where they left off, I'm like, I'm all in. I dig that. Some fans think it might be too corny or too, I'll use the word gimmicky again. I don't know how to really put it up. It's just a different flavor because it's the back and the older school, and not the newer fans are like, the hell is that? So
sometimes there's just something to be said about working a headlock for 10 minutes. Like if it's the story you're telling and you can tell it well, then tell that story. That's a story that I would love to tell. Is just I've tried to call like script up an entire match in my head. I don't even care who I'm working, but like, how would I work in one hold for almost a whole match, or like just focus on your leg for a whole match? Like, what can I do? Those are things that are regular brain exercises, especially when I'm driving. I'm always thinking, like, whenever I'm driving, I'm always thinking wrestler and or hey asshole, stay off my ass. But mostly, like, I'll come up with whole match ideas, like whole matches in my head while I'm driving. I'll be like, all right, now I can do this, and from that I could do this, and from that I could do this, and then they'll probably come back with this, and it's just so much fun.
Wrestling is something that takes all of us on a roller coaster ride with the good guys, the bad guys, the good girls, the bad girls, and the managers and the referees and everything that it takes to make wrestling the dance happen, if you will.
Yeah.
You again, I've said earlier, you do a fantastic job. I cannot wait. Man, I probably could wait to see. No, you know what? I can't wait to see the dark side of Isana and see what she brings to the table for the evolution of her character. So I'm pretty stoked to see that, see where the future brings Isana. And you have been cute as a button through the whole thing. You've dealt with my silliness. We've had a fantastic conversation. You gave the fans way more than I expected, because I didn't know how, if Isana was reserved behind the curtain or if that was really Isana. And man, you were a joy to have today, and I thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Yes, that's amazing. And I usually do like an outro, stirring the pot on Kincaid, blah, blah, blah. But I have to do one vital thing. Look up Isana on all of the social medias. If you have to rewind when you hear this, do so, because on the face page specifically, there's going to be a poll for that blue shark behind there. And TJ Howell III, I am hoping, is going to be an option. And 100% of you people that are watching, I hope it's just not my mom and dad. Please, please, please. I hope that everybody votes for TJ Howell III. I would just lose my absolute shit if you had to call that thing TJ Howell III. I would love that result. So go on her face page, look her up on the social medias, vote for TJ Howell III. I cannot wait to see the results of that. This was Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid. I didn't have the moonshine. We had a great conversation with my very special guest, the suplex sweetheart herself, Isana. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ah, that was fun.